Hey friends, happy Monday night. I am excited to be here. If you are watching the replay, welcome. And then also welcome to those of you who are joining me live tonight. I am so excited for this training. This is a massive honor for me to be here. I was a brand new distributor last November was when I joined, and my upline added me into this group, and it was the coolest group ever. I absolutely loved it and loved watching the trainings. I watched all of them. I binged them at the end. I would go to sleep with my phone underneath my pillow listening to all of these trainings. So you can imagine it is a massive honor to be here tonight with you guys. So thank you to Allison for having me do this. I am amongst greatness in this group, and I feel very privileged to learn alongside of you guys. I feel like I should not be doing this, but I'm excited to do it. Hey Summer, my girls are popping on. I'm excited. I'm a little bit nervous. I do train for my girls, so I don't know why this is nerve-wracking to me, but I'm very excited. So thanks for joining. I am going to talk about the beauty of a family-run business. I am actually going to turn comments off because I'm going to get distracted. But if you are joining, will you guys comment where you are watching from? I'm going to go back and watch this back, and I would love to see where you are watching from. I'd love to know your rank, maybe how long you've been in the business, maybe just something that you want to share. I would love to know. I always think that's really interesting watching trainings, like a little bit about the people that are watching. So my name is Emma. First of all, Emma Stedman. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I always love to know a little bit about the person that I'm watching the training from. So I'm just going to share a little bit about myself, a little bit of my Senna story, if you will, and then I will hop into the training, but it kind of goes along with the training, so you'll see. So I started my business last November is when I joined, kind of officially launched in December, and it's been a whirlwind ever since. My first initial reason for joining was to help our family fund a future adoption. We have 2 kids on our own, but we've always wanted to adopt. So I thought, hey, maybe I could, sell $1,000 a month, maybe profit $500, and in 3 years I could save 12 or 15,000. Like if I saved every single penny. Whoops, almost knocked over my water. So that was like my initial goal with this business. And then my first month I sold 6,000 in product, and I was absolutely blown away. I could not believe that these products were selling at the way that they were. And hey guys, I turn on comments because I wanted to know who was coming and where they're coming from. So fun, you guys. So I sold 6,000 in product my first month, and then I realized, okay, maybe this is something a little bit bigger. Maybe this is something kind of beyond us, and I could use a little bit of help. So I'm going to talk tonight about a family-run business, because I cannot do what I do without my husband, and I know you might be in this business, whatever level you're at of how much sales you're doing or how big your team is, we can all benefit from a little bit of help. So when Allison asked me to train on this, I was like, I don't know if I'm qualified. Can I talk on social media instead? Like, I don't know if I want to, talk about this and balancing and family and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, no, I want you to do it. If you know Allison, she pushes you, and she pushes you outside of your comfort zone. So, yeah, so this started as a side hustle for me, and it's kind of blown up for us. Just a little bit of backstory if you kind of don't know who I am, or just, I don't know. I just like knowing about people. So sales has always been my primary focus in my business. And so I did a good amount of sales my first few months, and then it kind of blew up. And the past year I've done anywhere from like 12 to 15,000 in sales. And our biggest month last year was 27,000 in sales, which is crazy town. So we are busy packing orders. We have 2 little kids. We have a lot going on, and we've had to figure out a system that works well for us. And that is doing this together. So my husband had a corporate job. We're actually able to have him stop that and have him do this with me. So we do it full time together, and our business has grown because of that. So 2 are better than 1 in that sense. But I wanted to tell you guys our numbers because I'm a countess, and I want you guys to know that making big girl money is possible in Senegence, not being a crown princess or above. And I think that's really important to know, because that's not something that I really knew in this business. I thought that you had to be those ranks or above to be making, money that could pay your mortgage or things like that. And I have to give a shout out to Joni Rogers for creating this business model for anyone to succeed, no matter the size of your team. And I think that's a huge blessing for us, and just something I want to tell you guys that it is possible. It is possible even without a team, even with a team where you could do a team and smaller sales. Like, there's so many different ways to work this business, and I just think it's a massive blessing from Joni. So everyone's at a different stage. I know that you might not want your husband involved in your business. You might not need it. So the question really is like, why include your family? So a couple little bullet points on that. It shows real life and shows that you are relatable. If you're a mom and you're showing your kids, your target market and your target audience is probably moms with kids, just like you, school-age kids, if your kids are in school or older or whatever that may be. So it shows that you're, relatable and that they can see you wearing makeup in your everyday life, so they can picture on themselves as well. Another point is it takes pressure off of you to do it all, and I'll jump into this in a little bit, but having help in your business is, anyone can use a little bit of help, and it might not be in your business, but maybe it's with your house and you have someone who is cleaning your house for you, or someone helping you with school drop-off, or whatever that may be. Having someone help you in your business is incredible. It's also really fun. My husband and I have a lot of fun together, and we really enjoy working together. But you can replace spouse or partner with a friend, or maybe you have a teenage daughter or something like that. It doesn't have to be your spouse. The more important thing is just kind of opening it up for other people to have a part in your business. So the real question for us is like, why not have our family involved? Why not have our kids help us and come along with us when we do things? And also too, your husband or your partner probably has some amazing skills that can help you in your business. You might not know it yet, but he probably has something that can be really, really beneficial to your business. And it's just a matter of you kind of figuring out what that is. I wanted to talk to you guys about some principles first, just that we kind of live by. This is like by no means a how-to training or a be us training. We are still figuring it out daily. We still have conversations of, hey, is this working? Is that not working? But we just have a couple principles that we live by, and then we kind of adjust our life as need be. But these are like things that we don't compromise on. I just thought it would be interesting to you guys. Again, this is not like a crazy how-to training. I just thought maybe it would be interesting. Okay, so the first principle that we live by is we share the same vision for our family. Also, does anybody else write crazy notes like this? That's like the only way I train. So if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes. So we share the same vision for our family. So like I said, when I first signed up, I was like, maybe I can make an extra $500. Maybe that could be something that like would benefit our family. Then when I started selling more, Nick and I really stopped and we were like, okay, what's going on here? Can we grow this business? Is this something that we see ourselves doing for a couple years and beyond that? Like, what is this really? So in that sense, Nick started getting involved. Nick's my husband's name. Maybe I didn't say that yet. Like I knew Nick would help me in the sense of like asking about my business name or telling him how much I sold that day, but I didn't picture him being a part of my business when I first started off. That was not a goal. My goal was not to have him stop his corporate job. That was like nowhere near it for us. So, but once we saw that Synergence was such an avenue of blessing our family and it started to, that's when we sat down and we said, okay, what is our vision and what is our goal with this? And then we started dreaming big. And I think that's really the takeaway that I would love for you to have is, are you dreaming with your partner? Are you sitting down and saying, okay, we have an extra $100 a month, or we have an extra $2,000 a month, and kind of being on the same page and being like, this is what we want to do with that money. We want to give it away, or we want to go on a vacation together, an anniversary trip, send our kids to a private school. Like, what is it that you are in this business for that is making, what are you dreaming about? And what is your why? And I think for us being on the same page with that, even if Nick was not involved in my business, was something that was like so pivotal for us and still is as we adjust that dream and what's happening. But being on the same page with your spouse, I think is like so important, or your partner, a friend, or whatever that is. And I know that for a lot of you guys, Synergence is insanely blessing your family. So just being on the same page with your spouse, they're your biggest cheerleader. Like they really are. And they might not even know what you're doing when you're doing Facebook Lives or parties or demos, and just getting them involved and having them help you is awesome. We have a phrase in our family that we love, is having a friend or having a partner, it halves your sorrows and it doubles your joys. So when you're having trouble with your business, maybe something happened and went wrong, you have a friend to share that with. And if something goes really well, you hit a rank or a huge goal that you have someone that's going to double that joy with you. So we just really value that. Okay, so the number 2, our second value, is we use our strengths and our gifts, and this is the important part, is that we don't stray outside of them. Nick and I both have very different skill sets. He has like a marketing and branding background, and I have a photography background. So we are like, I'm like the creative, freestyle. I don't follow rules and schedules, and he's like very efficient and like knows the best way to do things. So I just want to tell you guys a couple things that my husband does for our business, and then a couple things are the things that I do, and kind of how we break that up. And I don't really go into Nick's world, and he doesn't come a lot into our world. And the most important thing, I think, is that we really trust each other with our skills and with our talents. And for you, if you're not working with your spouse, this can be really simple and just be like, my husband is really good at watching my kids for that hour, that I need in the day, and just like thanking them for that. They're really good at that. So it doesn't have to be as in-depth as if you are, like us, that we work together full time. So a couple things that my husband does is he has marketing background. So he does marketing. He does our Pinterest strategy. We have a couple virtual assistants working for us, so he manages VAs. I know Synergence is going global. You guys know that. So he's kind of in charge of like our strategy for that. He does any type of like Google ads, a lot of our shipping. He does like website management for me, and a lot of our strategy. My list is a lot smaller and a lot more simple. I do content, sales, and team training and team building. That is the only 3 things that I do. That is what I focus on, and that's what I love. And I really trust Nick to do what he needs to do. And of course we have like crossover strengths that we, hey, what are you thinking about that? Or hey, what are you doing about this? But for the most part, we kind of work on separate things throughout the day. And that's just like what really works for us. Okay, so number 3 is efficiency and prioritizing income producing tasks. And again, this training is, some of the things go whether you have someone working with you or not. I said I'm a very creative free bird. Usually the way that I do things is not the most efficient. So this is why I'm so thankful for my spouse, because he is the one that's like, we could be doing that in a lot more efficient way. So for me, I do content, I do DMs, I do trainings, and literally like Nick does everything else for me. Or we have other people helping us too. So I stay focused on the things that I love. And I think that it's okay to play to your strengths and the things that you really love doing. And it is okay to not do the things that you don't love. So for example, we just started hiring a girl to come help us do shipping. So she comes over if we have like a big influx of orders. She writes thank you notes for me, she packages for me, and she helps us with that, because it's maybe not my favorite thing to do all the time, or it's too much and I need help. A couple things that else we have a girl that actually executes our Pinterest strategy. So we have a VA, and we kind of hand that off to her. She does it. So like I said, we have someone shipping and packing, and we also have Chick-fil-A, because that's where my husband is tonight with my kids. So amen for Chick-fil-A. So those are just like a couple principles we live by. And Allison asked me to talk about balancing, like how we balance our life. And I was like, oh, Allison, do I have to talk about that? Because balance is I'm like, oh, I'm not even doing like the best job at that. And she's like, no, just share what you do. So for me, I feel like balance is such an infamous word. Like, what is it? Can we really achieve it? What does that even look like in our day-to-day lives? And I heard an analogy once of someone on a balance beam, and to have like perfect balance is like freaking exhausting, so difficult, and it's painful, and it hardly ever happens. It's always a sway, kind of a back and forth. And that's how we really kind of view our lives, is it's not perfect balance, it's more about the form. So I just wanted to share like a couple little things that we do to balance our life. But I feel silly even saying this because it's not perfectly balanced, but we have noticed a few things that just really help for our family, because we are in such a hustle season right now. We are saving for an adoption, which, by the way, because of Synergence, we were able to start that like 2 years sooner than we thought we would be able to. So we are super blessed because of Synergence for that reason. But we are hustling to save money for that. So our days can be crazy. Sometimes our kids have peanut butter and jelly for lunch and for dinner, and that is okay. We're okay with it. We know that it's a season. So a couple things that we do just like on a practical day-to-day basis is work hard, play hard. And it really is, I don't want to say balance because I just said that that's hard to achieve. But it's really kind of just different every single day. So for me personally, I time block. That has been like a game changer for my business, is knowing like times that I'm going to work and then times I'm going to be with my kids, because I never saw myself working full time. Like, that's not really what I had pictured for my future. It just kind of happened to us. I was a photographer, then I had my first daughter, and I was like, see ya, photography, like I'm gonna stay home with my babies. And then SeneGence happened, and I kind of had the itch to do something. So I try really hard to protect my time with my kids. So I do a full-time job in part-time hours, or I make up for it in the evenings when they're in bed. So I usually time block. I spend like 15 minutes in the morning, like checking in with everyone, putting out any fires if there's anything going on with customers or teammates or anything like that. And then I kind of don't really work until my kiddos go down. So I'm really like mama in the mornings, and I love it. Kind of checking in on my phone here and there, but I'm not really doing content or things like that. It's kind of just time that I get to be with my kids and do anything I need to in my house. And then I work from 1 to 4. And this is where my husband is super helpful, because he'll kind of put them down for a nap, and then he works. And then if they wake up and I'm still working, doing content and stuff, he kind of takes over and is with them. And then we kind of do family time, and then put them in bed, and then we kind of hustle a little bit. The thing that's important is that we try to like look at the health of our family. Like, are Nick and I having enough time together, not working? Do I have enough one-on-one time with like each of my kiddos? Like, am I getting focused time with them? We just moved to Nashville from California, so we have like no family. Our kids are not school age yet. We don't have a babysitter, so we do this all with our kiddos in our house. It can be madness, which is why I said, why am I talking about balance? But we do try to make sure our kids are doing okay, our marriage is doing okay, and that's just something that we really value. The next thing is, I don't do it all. I touched on this, but if you looked inside that closet, there's laundry piling up that has been there for like 2 to 3 weeks, and it's okay. It's really okay. Whatever stage of life you are at, this is like not even related to business, is that you don't have to do it all, and that you shouldn't do it all, because that's like so exhausting. So give yourself grace. Grace serves me in my life better than guilt. So I try really hard to not feel guilty that maybe I'm not getting as much done for my household, like laundry or having always a perfectly stocked fridge. I just give myself grace. I do, and you can too. Whatever stage of life, even if you just do this really part-time and you have a different job that's fuller time, like give yourself grace in every season that you're in. It will always serve you better. And then the last thing, and then I'm going to get to my like number one business tip for y'all, because I can't do a training without talking about some form of like social media business, something like that. Is Nick and I both take time, and again, this can be just you, but take time to be to ourselves, to be strong and to be whole. So that sounds very kind of like vague, but we take time for ourselves in the mornings individually, like apart from our kids. So that looks like exercise for us. So first thing in the morning, I will go to the gym, and first thing in the morning, Nick will work out at home. We have like kind of a home gym, and our kiddos are kind of running around while he's doing that. But for me to take time away kind of first thing has been like a game changer for like my mental health, for physical health, and I don't necessarily even do it for a certain way to look. I do it for the way that I feel, and if any of you guys are like Rachel Hollis fans, you know that taking time to work out first thing in the morning is like a game changer. She's always preaching on that. It's such a good thing to do, and it is so true. But during that time that I exercise, is I usually will listen to a podcast or some form of like personal development. And I promise you, if you take time for yourself in the morning first thing, and you take time to do some form of personal development, that it will be such a game changer for your life, for everything that you do. It will just pour out. I noticed a huge difference in myself when I started doing that. We started that kind of new routine back in like August or September, and I like felt like I was instantly like a happier, healthier, more whole mother and wife when I took time for myself. And that took me a few years to learn that, and I'm only 4 years into the motherhood game, but like it was such a game changer for me. So if I can just say, take time for yourself in the morning, it will be such a game changer for you. Okay, so we're still learning this, you guys. We are still learning how to do this whole thing, but I wanted to talk to you guys. I hope, Allison, this is okay that I talk about some social media stuff. But I wanted to talk to you guys about my biggest tip for your business, my biggest tip for you via social media. I run my business like 110% via Instagram on social media. And this is my biggest tip for you. So the biggest advice I could tell you is to treat yourself like a small shop. And I want you guys to kind of see yourself not as a SeneGence distributor, although I'm very loyal to Synergence. But take yourself outside of a Synergence distributor and see yourself as a small business owner. And what that's going to do for you is it's going to kind of expand your mind to see what is possible, that you don't have to stay to the limits of Synergence. And Synergence doesn't even want you to do that. They want us to be our own businesses and do things in our own unique way. And if you can kind of take the mentality of a small business, I promise it will serve you so well in your business. So when I first started out, little backstory, I started with a private Facebook group and I didn't like it at all. And I want to respect a lot of you because I know you guys thrive in your Facebook groups, but I decided it wasn't for me. So I started to focus fully on my Instagram account. I had a separate business account, which, side note, if you are on Instagram, another little tip for you is to have an Instagram account separate from your personal account that you can focus on your business. And what this does, and what I noticed, and again, this is not every single case, but what I noticed for me was that it was so powerful to give people the choice to follow me. It wasn't like I had built my personal account and all of a sudden one day I'm like coming to them trying to sell to them, because I felt like they would think I was taking advantage of them, switching over to my personal audience. And I felt like if I asked them, everyone one-on-one, hey, would you be okay if I started posting my new business, or would you prefer if I started a separate account? I felt like most people would probably have said a different account so I can check it out and you can keep your personal account, your family. So I go off of do unto others as I would have them do unto me. So I created my own account and I kind of started from ground zero. Is that the right phrase? If you know me, I never get phrases right. So I had built a personal account. I had kind of dabbled in the influencing world on social media. I'd done a couple collaborations with my kids when they were born, just working with baby brands and different things like that, jewelry and clothes companies. And I kind of dabbled in that a little bit. And I saw this small shop mentality that was kind of taking over social media. I think a lot of us can say that we buy things off of social media, off of Instagram, through Instagram stories and things like that. We get sucked into it, and it's kind of the future of what is happening right now with buying, shopping small, things like that, small businesses. So from working with them, I noticed that their strategy was working. So I had this thought when I started my Synergence business. Hey, what if I could do everything that I observed from small shops, and what if I could transfer that into our business, into my business? And what would that look like to have a small shop mentality rather than a distributor mentality? And I felt like for me, it was like such a game changer, even though I started out that way. So maybe it's not a game changer, but it was like such a cool way to start. And the other thing that I want to tell you guys, and this is like a phrase that I want to be careful with because I'm not disrespecting our product at all, but you are a content business, not a makeup business. If you want to keep up with 2019 trends and where people are going via online, it is a content business. And that is really what is happening. If you look at any small shop or even a lot of the bigger shops, it is more content driven. So if you want to keep up with what is happening, got to switch your mentality to not just a makeup business, but a content business. And a lot of you guys are doing this already. You're going live, you're doing stories, or you're doing things like that that are serving your audience. Keep going in that direction because it is really going to serve you well stepping into 2019 and keeping up with those trends. Okay, what is next? Okay, so if you switch over to kind of like a small shop mentality, what it's going to do is it's going to take you outside of like relying on other people in Synergence to help you grow your business. So you're going to start seeing it as you need to be creative and do things yourself. You need to innovate and try things that are different. And don't rely on corporate or other people to grow your business. That being said, small businesses still rely on other people to help them grow. They do, masterminds or events or podcasts. I am totally not saying like don't get any help in your business and do it on your own. I'm simply saying it is okay to look outside of the MLM industry and see how people are doing things, because small shops and influencers is where it is at right now in online and social media. So, okay, let me see what's next. I'm actually going faster than I think. If you are on my team, you know that I'm very long-winded when it comes to trainings, and they're always like twice as long as I expect them to be. So I think I'm actually doing okay though. The other thing about Instagram that I wanted to mention is I have a public account. It's not private. Like I said, I'm not on Facebook. I don't do a private Facebook group. And I think how that has really helped my business is that it's giving people a chance to find me on their own, and they can watch before they buy. And they're not put into a private group and feel pressure maybe to buy or whatever. They can find it on their own. A friend can tell them about it. And then they have that choice to follow you and to really see what you're all about. So we kind of really got to impress them with what we have on our pages. So for me, not having a small shop mentality, or not having a distributor mentality and having a small shop mentality, is the fact that I don't really rely on Synergence for graphics. I don't rely on other people to make my content for me. I'm making my own content. And yeah, like I said, this really is a content business. So here are just like 2 ways having a small shop mentality has served us well. And I say us because it's Nick and I think having another person helping me in this business had made me see that it's more than just one person. So I kind of by default saw it as a shop because there was 2 of us working on it, but you can have this mentality whether it's just you or whether you have a spouse working with you or not. Okay, so number 1, I already said this. My notes are a little jumbled, guys. Sorry about that. But seeing this as a content business and not just a makeup business. And what I mean by that is small shops are creating their own content. So that means that we should kind of mimic them and see what is happening. What is the content they're sharing about? If they are a jewelry company, are they just sharing about jewelry, or are they sharing like, hey, these are some things we love to do in our local area? So they're sharing great content, but not just about their product. Like, I think people are starting to realize it is a lifestyle brand type of thing when it comes to a small shop. So I really had to start from ground zero when it came from taking my page that I had grown to about 12,000 people and then starting on a new business page from, I keep saying ground zero, but that is not the right, from scratch. I don't even know the right phrase for that. Someone help me out. But I want to tell you guys that I didn't rely on the growth of my new business page a year ago from what I had built on my personal page. I can count on 2 hands how many times I've ever mentioned my business on my personal account. I do not count on it at all. Like, I don't talk about it there a ton, just for sake that I wanted to protect my personal account to be just what I said, personal, and it's about my family. My business is my business, and sometimes I talk about them like if there's a sale or a giveaway or something like that, but I really do try hard to keep them separate. Okay, let's see where I am right here in my notes. Okay, so think about who you are following on Instagram. Are you following any like bloggers, any influencers, any small shops, things like that? Match that. So study that. What kind of content are they putting out? For a lot of influencers and a lot of bloggers, they're doing a lot of Instagram stories. They're doing a lot of just interesting behind the scenes on their life, what they're up to. It's not just it's not just their business stuff. They might be a fashion blogger, but you're going to see about her home. You're going to see about what she makes for her kids for lunch. Like, it's a lot more. Like, people are realizing you kind of got to let people into your life to be able to succeed, because people want to be able to know you. Because remember, I know you guys have heard this before, but people buy from those that they love and they trust. So if all you do is talk about makeup and you don't let people into your life to love and trust you, it's like they might not know who you are. And if they're a stranger on the internet, they might be like, I don't know who you are. So let people in, let them get to know you. And the way that I do that personally is Instagram stories. So I just want to touch on this for just a second because I love it so much. I keep saying this is like the best thing I could tell for your business. I really don't think I'm like that amazing. So here's another thing that I would say is a takeaway. Is always have an active Instagram story. And you might be new on Instagram, Facebook might be your jam, but if you are trying to grow your Instagram following and grow your Instagram business, I would say have an active story all the time. Don't ever let that die, because what that does is it gets you in front of people's minds every single day. Every single day they see your bubble pop up, and as they're clicking that more, as you're posting content maybe a few times throughout the day, it's constantly popping up. It's going to start going to like the front. So the people that you follow the most, that you watch their stories the most, Instagram knows that you think they're cool. So it's going to put their bubble, sorry, I need some water. It's going to put their bubble in front of your stories because they know that you love them and that you think they're cool. So if you can do that for people and be like in their top bubbles, like that's awesome. So I always keep an active story. And my stories is what I focus on like 100%. Sorry, Allison, I'm so strained from what you wanted for this training. But I spend like 100% of my time basically on social media thinking about stories, what I'm going to post, what I'm going to share, more so than my feed, because people are watching stories more than they are scrolling. So I typically do a few days a week that is like specific stories. So I'm talking about something kind of more of a like a themed day. So one day I'll be like, I'm going to show you guys the difference between color correcting tinted moisturizer and foundation, and I have a whole set of stories sharing that, explaining that, and then what I do is I save it to my highlights. So I have a whole bunch of highlights for people to just go back and watch, and it kind of makes it like a little mini TV show for them, so they know that they can tune in every single day, and I'm going to have content for them. Like, they know that, my followers know that. So having an active story is going to be so beneficial for your business. And I could talk a lot more about that, but I need to go a little bit faster. The success of my business, though, hinges on how present I am in front of my audience. And this goes back to the small shop mentality of, like, Old Navy doesn't take a day off. American Eagle doesn't take a day off. Your favorite brand doesn't take a day off if they're online. So we really have to work hard to keep that small shop mentality to stay present in people's minds if we want to grow our sales and grow our following. Because if we're just on every 3 days, we're not going to be present in front of people. So it's just real important. Okay, last point here, and then I'm almost done, is be truly unique and stand out through your creativity and your thoughtfulness. So this is where it's really fun, and you get to do what is important to you and your brand, what you love to do. Thinking of fun sales and promos and content for your business that is really something that you love to do. We are competing with the top brands nowadays for people's attention. So going back to Instagram stories for a second, someone could have, you know, $100,000 follower account, their Instagram bubble right next to yours. We're competing with those people, so our content has to be matching them to the best of our abilities if we want to compete with them, especially when there's so many beauty companies out there. There's so many other MLM beauty industries that are happening. So we have to work really hard on that content and be really truly unique in how we stand out. I had someone ask me today when Allison shared that I was going to be training tonight, and she said, can you touch on how you've grown your Instagram following? I started obviously with 0 like everybody else, and right now I'm like at 4,500 followers, I think, and that's in like 12 months. And she asked, can you touch on how I've grown? And I want to say it's a really easy answer and be like, oh, do these 2 steps and you can grow. But I don't think it's that easy. But I do think that follower growth is a fruit of a giving business. And I don't really focus on growth. I focus on serving my current audience. And this is something, if you follow Jenna Kutcher, she said a couple years ago that always stuck with me even before I had my business, was she said, how do you expect to grow your business if you're not even serving the current people that are already there? So my goal in doing anything, my goal in a giveaway, my goal in a sale, my goal in an incentive or whatever it may be is not to grow my audience. My goal is to serve my current audience. It's like someone coming to your party and then looking over the door being like, anybody else? Like, it feels kind of rude, first of all, because they're like, hi, I'm right here. Can I have dinner? You know, just a stupid analogy. But it's really living with an abundant mentality in your business of you're not trying to get followers out of desperation. You're not trying to grow out of desperation. Is that you are serving your current audience. And I promise that growth will happen because of that, because people will notice. They'll start referring people to you. Your content will start getting seen. People will share about you because they're going to notice that something's different about you. You have an abundant personality, mentality about your business, and you're really serving, you're giving, you have joy. And I think, real quick, I'll wrap up with this. You could watch my training and think, oh my goodness, I'm never going to sell 27,000 in 1 month or even 10,000 or whatever. Please don't compare yourself in this business. Comparison is the thief of the joy that I just talked about. I promise you, comparison is, it's like a death trap for your business. And this goes back to the small shop mentality, is if you can view yourself as a small shop, it's going to be a little bit easier to not compare, because you're not going to think of yourself as just one of 1,000 distributors. You are your own unique individual shop, and no one can duplicate you ever. So I just think that you don't compare yourself, and it will ruin your business. Okay, I'm going to give a stupid analogy. I love analogies, and I just, they like really resonate with me. I shared this with my team a couple weeks ago, but it was kind of mind-blowing for me. Have you guys heard the phrase community over competition? I feel like everyone has heard that phrase. But if you guys ever seen the Rocky movie, has anyone seen the Rocky movies? I just want to see if anybody's seen the Rocky movies. I love them. My husband made me watch them, and I just thought they were awesome. But the last Rocky movie, or was it? No, it was Creed, like the other, like the sequel to it. He was like fighting, and Rocky is like his trainer or whatever you want to call him, and he couldn't like beat this guy. And he said, I can't get him. And Rocky just like looked at him, and this was like a game changer for me. And he said, the only person you're competing with yourself is the person in the mirror. And it kind of struck me because everyone says this phrase, have community over competition, but it really showed me that like community doesn't even have the option to be your competition. Because competition, you can only be better than the person you were yesterday. That's a Rachel Hollis quote, right? But there is no community over competition. It is literally only communication. Like your Senna sisters, your teammates, everyone, they're only your community. They're not your competition. The only person that you are competing with is yourself and your goals. And it kind of takes the stress off, and it takes that pressure off to always fight that. And with this business and watching all these trainings, I think it can be hard because you're seeing all these people and be like, I want to be a trainer, or I want to get to this point, or that point with my sales, or that point with my team. You have to compare yourself to yourself yesterday, and what do you want to be tomorrow? And really just understand that we are all doing our best, and we are all here to serve and love each other. And Allison has been such a perfect example of that because she's not making any money off of this training group, you guys. Like, she did this all out of love for us and how she wants us to all have an abundant business. And there's just a perfect example of this because there's no one that she is trying to compete with. She's just doing her best, and that's what we all should be doing too. So thank you, Allison, for giving me the chance to be here. I hope this, sorry, I'm catching up on comments and I think they're behind. Thank you guys for joining. My Instagram account is This Beauty Called Ours if anyone wants to find me. I don't know if anybody asked that. But yeah, thank you guys for having me. New title. Here's how I balance my family while rocking Instagram. Thanks guys for having me. I hope you enjoy all the rest of the training. Seriously, don't miss any of them. You all need to go back and watch all of them if you missed. They are seriously game changers for your business. So have a great night. I love y'all, and catch you next time. Bye.